Rutherford, voice of reason, voice of the people. Call now, 974-TALK, 974-8255, and be part of the action. Rutherford, on Calgary's home to talk. QR787.
Jensen, Communication Corporate Sustainability Manager for Mainstream Canada, talking about aquaculture, salmon farming on the West Coast. And so, I mean, your belief is that these organizations that protest salmon farming and say the wild things they do about it are in league with those who support wild salmon, the wild salmon industry, Laurie, or is there something else going on here?
I'm not really sure, David. You know, I think Vivian Krause is on to something. But for us, in particular, it's about the claims that they're making against us. I think that's a whole different lawsuit to be looking at why they're doing it and how they're doing it. But for us as Mainstream Canada, Canadian workers and our partners and suppliers, it's just, you know, enough. If these people want to make facts or claims based on facts, do it. But, you know, and then we'll deal with those. But to defame us and to insult us and to ridicule us, that's just unconscionable.
And is the defamation in, like, they make some suggestions comparing the salmon, the farm salmon industry to the tobacco industry, and, you know, tobacco kills, fish kills. I mean, they make wild claims.
Yeah.
But is that the defamation part, or is there something else in there?
No, that's the defamation part. You know, one of his statements is salmon farming kills workers. Now, that's just ridiculous. I mean, we've got an exemplary record when it comes to worker safety. As well, we've got 2 third-party certifications which help manage and direct the company's safety policies. I mean, we are certified in occupational health and safety through a third party. We also have the CORE, the Certificate of Recognition for Worker Safety. I mean, it's just ridiculous statements. You know, so, you know, and they say salmon farming kills communities. In fact, our salmon farming is a huge benefit to our coastal communities. In fact, the Howsett First Nation, we're the largest employer for a little, well, actually they're a very large First Nation group off the coast of Tofino. So, you know, it's ridiculous.
And so in their defense, I mean, if they could, I mean, part of these suits is truth is a defense. If they could prove all the things they're saying, they might escape a finding of defamation, but based on some of the headlines, I don't know how you ever would.
I don't either. And that's why we say enough. Just enough.
So you want to force these guys out. You want to flush them out. You want to get them in a court of law. What would stop this suit? I mean, could you get an out-of-court settlement? Could you have an agreement that they would, I don't want to prejudge this, but that they would just stop?
Well, actually, we sent him a polite letter from our lawyers asking him to take down the website and just issue us an apology and stop it, and we wouldn't continue on this. Our response was he sent a picture of the cigarette package with the Norwegian flag, and he gave us the finger. So, you know, Mr. Staniford is not interested in any kind of logic or politeness. So the only alternative we have is to take it to a court of law.
And have you guys personally ever come in contact with this guy?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We see him quite often. He's quite aggressive, always flashing his camera in our face, and he's quite very unpleasantly aggressive.
I mean, unpleasant. I can sort of imagine what those conversations might be like. A couple of quick calls for you, Laurie, before we go. Sherry, hi.
Hi, good morning, Dave and your guest. I'm a former resident of Vancouver Island, and this is an ongoing issue with the concern of farming and fresh fish. There was an article in the Vancouver Sun dated February 11th by Stephen Hume that states fish farms clearly are linked to sea lice infestations among wild sockeye, and it further goes to express that there was a scientific study that was actually done stating that in relation to marine and salmon farms on the Canada West Coast, published in Tuesday's PLOS, a peer-reviewed scientific journal.
Okay, Sherry, okay. You're saying they're a problem? You believe it?
Clearly, it's just been proven in science science. It's demonstrated that there's a potential role that salmon farms are transmitting sea lice, juvenile sockeye salmon.
There's been science going the other way, hasn't there, Laurie?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and that's part of the problem is you have two different levels of science. One saying, yes, they're destroying everything, and the other is, wait a minute, no, they're not.
Yeah.
So, Mainstream Canada maintains detailed sea lice reports on all of our farms, and it's actually published on our website as well. And they're available for public scrutiny. And the reports show that our sea lice levels are very low. And we actually manage our fish to protect, even though we don't have to, we manage them to protect small fish when they pass by our farms. So, there's no evidence, really, there's no evidence that sea lice from salmon farms have any effect on the survival rates of wild salmon. And that's the problem, is you have conflicting reports out there.
Sherry, thanks for that, reporting the science that's been reported, but such is science. Bob, hello.
Hi.
Yeah.
Dave?
Yeah.
Thank you for this topic.
Sure.
I'll tell you. Now, I'm not sure how you're going to receive this, but GIA I consider on the same level as PETA and Greenpeace, and I think nationally we should classify these as terrorist organizations. They get their money from spurious kind of sources.
Yeah.
They declare spurious accusations. Even the Bob Barkers of the world are trying to, kill an elephant for their, I don't know.
I know, Bob.
What their goal is. I have no understanding of it.
Well, part of the problem, and this is why PETA will never, ever appear on this show, and I'll never talk about them again, they get their jollies by having guys like me talk about them. And so the same thing sort of happens with a lot of these environmental groups. They get off on the fact that the media gets all twisted about it and talks about them all the time. And, Bob, that's why those guys, I'll never talk about them again, ever. They are unscrupulous.
I think they should be declared as a terrorist organization and, completely ousted from Canadian waters anywhere.
Bob, thanks for that. I mean, people have a right to some kind of speech, but these people get so extreme, so outrageous, that I'll not give them any satisfaction. Laurie, I have not come across Staniford myself, but, who knows? You clearly have a legal claim against the guy, and so, you'll pursue it in court, and I think that's the way to go.
Absolutely, and thank you for bringing this forward. Your last caller was absolutely right. These guys are about media, and this is one thing that I don't really want to give him, but we really need to tell our story as well and get this stuff stopped.
You see, that's the downside of what you're doing. You go public with this stuff, and then we talk about them.
Absolutely.
But nonetheless, if you get a judgment against them, that should get as much coverage as their wild claims do. So let's see if that happens. You'll get it here for sure, Laurie.
Thank you very much.
Laurie, listen, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And by the way, when is this thing hitting the courts, or is it, where are we here?
I will let you know.
Excellent.
And if you ever want to come and visit a fish farm, you just give me a call.
I would love it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Laurie. Laurie Jensen, speaking for Mainstream Canada. But listen, it's true. It's true. The organization that Bob talked about, and many others like it, do this solely for their own benefit. Raise money for themselves. Raise money, raise profile. It's a job for them. So let's not let it happen. Hey, open discussion, fine. Sherry raised the issue about sea lice. She's got a report. Laurie's got a report. Okay, fair enough. But some of the wild stuff that's unsubstantiated and not substantiatable, that word? Is that actually a word? Okay, it is. No, it is now.